had a couple of days to digest and look back at the notion of Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev right now for a world championship. And I got to stress it like that because when this first came out, Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev, or Michael Chandler was offered Islam Makhachev, it appeared like once upon a time or somewhere along the way of Chandler McGregor. And it turns out, no, it's right now. Michael Chandler right now has an offer on the table, apparently, to take on Islam Makhachev. Makhachev has weighed in and didn't say no. He wasn't all for it. He wasn't like backing the idea or saying you're the true number one contender. It was nothing like that. But he still didn't say no. And I maintained for you guys from the beginning that if Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler does not happen on June 29th, not only will it not happen, it's akin to announcing the retirement of McGregor. He will not be back at a future time. Now, that is a prediction. It's a prediction based on evidence, what's known as a hypothesis, but it's nothing more than that. And I do think it is strengthened, like the mere idea that there is an offer being presented to Michael Chandler. I hope that Michael Chandler understands. All right, guys, there is a language which is used in every single industry. There is something known as an industry standard. There is a vernacular within the industry that if you're in the industry, you will know meets a standard. If Michael Chandler is offered Islam Makhachev, there is a message being delivered to him that he has got to be able to hear. The words, "We cannot get you, Conor McGregor. We are not going to get you, Conor McGregor. We are not going to rebook you and Conor McGregor." Those words are not being used. But there's a number of reasons why they can't. There's a number of legal words in our industry that matter. Canceled versus postponed. Just for example, a couple of words that you've had thrown at you over the course of the last month that you've taken for granted. There is an immensely powerful reason from a legal perspective for things that you can say or things that you cannot say, for things that you would put in contract, for things that you are going to have to know a vernacular and a standard of an industry. If Michael Chandler was offered Islam Makhachev, I'm not saying he has to go take the fight. I hope he takes the fight. Michael Chandler matches up very interesting with Islam. Michael Chandler is amongst the sport's most disciplined men. I don't know if he's more disciplined than Islam. It'd be an interesting conversation. But what a sign of respect by the UFC to understand what Chandler's been through, to understand what Chandler did, to understand the willingness and the partner that Chandler was, and then you give a good faith effort to repay that. But a lot of times, particularly within this industry, guys will make a mistake of thinking, if I turn down what's behind door number one, there's always going to be something equal or better behind door number two. And if I turn down door number one and door number two, there's going to be something equal or better behind door number three. That is a mistake. I don't suggest for you that Chandler is foolish enough to not know that. I also don't suggest for you that Michael Chandler is going to turn down a fight or an opportunity at a world title. And I also wouldn't suggest for you that regardless of outcome, win, lose, or draw against Islam, that would have any bearing and or effect over a potential match with Conor McGregor. So it's a very interesting time. And while I'm watching this unfold, and of course this is in the absence of Sakarian, who has been issued his suspension by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, right? Because of all of these things, this perfect storm, if you will, it has created an opportunity. Not to be unmatched by the fact that no other 55-pounder seems to have a problem with it. Like, I read something that Ilya Topuria says that Max Holloway won't be available, so they're looking for another opponent. Let that go and move down a different road. That would be a fine example. Like Max, as the BMF champion, challenge Islam, or to speak up, or to get in the way of Chandler would just be one of many potential examples. Charles Oliveira, coming off of a loss, same as Chandler, who was in an elimination match with Sarkarian, which was razor thin, and somebody somewhere in the world wants to see Charles Oliveira take on Islam. Like, it'd be a really good time for Charles to speak up. And I don't have to go through each and every 55-pounder, but I will tell you when an idea like that is put out there, and that's door number 2. Door number 1 didn't come through. Here's door number 2 to make believe that there's going to be a door number 3. Don't make that mistake. You got to get the matches you can get when you can get them. You got to win the matches you can win when you can win them. You got to sign the matches you can sign when you can sign them in front of everything else. Get the fight and get it into the ring. I think we're going to see Chandler versus Islam. You bet I do. But I also believe if we sign Chandler versus Islam, you can accept there's a lot of things in this world, a lot of things in this sport that we say, and there's things that we just don't say for reasons that might be more sophisticated than you could understand. But a signed bout agreement of Islam versus Chandler is akin to a retirement announcement of Conor McGregor.